Okay. Hi, Siva. How are you doing today?
Great, doing well.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Welcome to the Big Unlock podcast. Very happy to have you as our guest today and for our, audience as well. As you might be aware, this was started by Paddy Padmanabhan and I'm building on his legacy. So we have done many episodes. Now we are in episode 6 and what we can do is some quick introductions. I'll start.
Okay,
And I'm Rohit Mahajan. I'm the managing partner and CEO at Big Rio and Demo Consulting, and also the host of the Big Unlock podcast. And over to you, Siva.
wonderful, and appreciate like Rohit having me on the podcast.
Yes.
Um, I am the CEO and co-founder of a company called Cohere Health. Started that in late 2019, and we are solving the burdensome issues related to prior authorization. I can kind of get some more detail into that.
Mhm.
Um, but I have been in the healthcare industry for more than 25 years. And prior to Cohere Health, I had founded another company called CO Health Analytics. I founded that in 2007, built it over a 10-year period, and sold it in 2018 to a company called EXL.
Mhm.
And that was a very successful company doing analytics in the healthcare market. Again,
Awesome.
that was funded by VCs, including Sequoia Capital.
Mhm.
It was a good exit for everyone, and we were serving the health plans at the time. And prior to CO Health, I also had started another small company
Mhm.
and in the provider space and sold it to Pero Systems.
Mhm.
And I have also actually worked I started my career at Intel,
Mhm.
and then I went to business school, uh, University of Michigan,
Mhm.
Ross Business School, and then got my MBA, and then I came to Connecticut. I live in Connecticut right now,
Mhm.
and I came here to work for Gartner Group,
Okay.
right? And then from Gartner Group, I really wanted to go and start something, and that's how I kind of started the healthcare career.
That's amazing, Siva. Thank you for that introduction. With such successful exits, I'm sure Cohere also will be on a great footing. So, could you please share with us how did this idea germinate about Cohere? You are so familiar with the healthcare space, so I'm sure you must have seen a big problem to be solved. So, how did the idea come about, and how did you start?
Yeah,
And what has been your journey so far?
yeah.
Would love to hear that. Yeah.
Okay. Um, As I indicated, my previous company, I've been working closely with the health plans, right? Health insurance companies.
Yes.
And we were doing analytics. And at that time, we were focused a lot more on payments and population health management and care management, etc.
Mhm.
And during that process, I kind of came across the prior authorization process, which the health plans were involved with.
Mhm.
I will kind of get into more detail about what is
Yes.
prior auth, etc.
Yes. Yes.
Like in
Please.
a minute. So I got involved in that. So it was always in the back of my mind that the process could be. I kind of knew that it was a highly manual process, and there was a lot of aberration it was causing for the providers as well as for the patients.
Mhm.
And so it was always a major pain point for the health plans.
Mhm.
So after I left, like after I sold the company, I had to work there for a year. And then
Mhm.
after that, I kind of thought about that, how can we apply
Mhm.
AI and
Yeah.
other latest and greatest technologies to solve the problem for the healthcare, ecosystem, right? So that was my angle. And in the while I was working with the health plans previously, uh, some of my clients at the time, they had indicated that, hey, they would be willing to kind of work on this problem, right?
Mhm.
If I could come up with a better solution, right?
Great.
So that's how I kind of got, got into this, right?
That's amazing to know that you were able to discover a gap and then kind of build a new business enterprise
Yeah,
to fill that gap. So tell us, Shiva, a little bit more about most of the people I'm sure in healthcare know what prior auth is, but tell us what are some of the intricacies and some more details about it.
yeah,
From you're the expert on it, right? So
sure.
yeah.
Um, the prior authorization is, as a patient, for example,
Mm-hmm.
when you go to a specialist, usually,
Mm-hmm.
obviously they do an examination of you, etc. So say that you go there for a knee pain, and they will first try to find out, what it is, right? Depending on the magnitude of it, they might just take an X-ray first and see what that problem is, right? And if it is even more acute, right, because of something else they see,
Mm-hmm.
they are going to probably order an MRI
Mm-hmm.
or so. So the moment when somebody like a physician orders something a little bit more expensive,
Mm-hmm.
not the standard ones, right? Some like an expensive, like an MRI, for example, it can cost anywhere between $1,500 and $2,000, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in many cases, MRI is probably not required. X-ray is sufficient, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
However, I think if you are going to order it, then um, my my insurance company, right? They want to know why I am getting an MRI. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so the physician's office need to fax or get some information as to why
Mm-hmm.
Siva needs a um,
Mm-hmm.
like MRI.
Right.
The health plan will look at the policy and say that, okay, based on this, okay, I'm going to approve it. Go ahead
Okay.
and have it, right? So that's a process. So anytime there is a little bit of an expensive process
Mm-hmm.
or potentially something that is not necessary, but if people are kind of doing it, they want to make sure that it's not overdone, right?
Right.
So that's what the process is supposed to do.
I see.
So
I
it's kind
see.
of a check and balance on that, right?
Okay. Okay.
So the physician will send all that information.
Yeah.
So what happens is that on the insurance company side, submitting that itself can be a very confusing process. It could be a portal, it could be a fax, or it could be a phone call. And then
Yeah.
the health plan side, they will take that information and then they will assign that to potentially a nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And that nurse will look at all the information and say that, okay, this seems to comply with the policy and
Mm-hmm.
approve. And if for some reason that person, the nurse feels that it's not necessary,
Mm-hmm.
they will then pass it on to a MD on
Mm-hmm.
their side. And the MD would say that we'll take a look at it again.
Mm-hmm.
And then they might say that, you know what, you don't need it. Then
Mm-hmm.
they will deny it, right? Potentially,
Mm-hmm.
because an X-ray is enough. And that's the process, right? And then, or they might say that, okay, it's approved.
Right. Right.
Go on. But if it is denied, it's usually denied by another specialist on the insurance side, and they have reasons for it. They might say that, hey, based on the X-ray, it looks like it's not a big
Mm-hmm.
this thing. So you can
Right.
just get them to therapy, and
Yes.
you can kind of move them on. But instead of trying to get an expensive MRI, so that's what they will tell
Okay.
your physician. That's my physician might or might not agree with it, but that's how they can do, and they will try to send me to consultative therapy, etc.
Right. Right. Right.
That is the prior authorization process.
Okay. Okay. And Shiva, in the first part of what you were explaining, you mentioned you use the word abrasion, right? So I'm
Yes,
very curious, like what is this abrasion that is happening? One, and second, how long does this process take? Because now the person needs to get the prior auth.
you got it. You got
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
Got
yeah.
it. And that's where, right?
Yeah.
So the process, what happened is that the things have always not been very clear
Right.
in terms of what is the information that they need to submit, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is that there could be multiple back and forth
Okay.
between the physician's office and the insurance company.
I see.
Send some information, they will say, no, 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 I am looking for some indication of something.
Yes.
Then they will send it back to them. And then the
Yes.
people will say that they will look at the documentation and we said that, no, I think we found it and this is where it is. And then they will send the thing back. So there could be a lot of back and forth, right? So
Okay.
that introduces more time and more administrative work for both sides, right?
Yeah.
And that this whole all this paperwork, documenting thing, sending it, and the wait, right, uh,
Yeah.
can be anywhere between 5 to 14 days.
Okay.
Okay. So for very complex procedures and things like that, it could take about 13 to 14 days. For example, if people want to get a surgery,
Yes.
right, they might have to wait because they have to go through multiple paperwork and things like that. So what happens is that the patient is the one that's suffering,
Yeah.
and the paperwork and the decision might be yes or no. All of that won't be known. Only then they can be scheduled
Yes.
for a surgery. This is what was causing the administrative work, the back and forth, and the fact that it was taking a long period of time. And also at the end, right, it could be denied for some reason that was not very clear.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
those were the issues. That's still the case in many areas.
Right.
That is causing abrasion.
Right. I see. I see.
So
And the delays. So you chose to focus because of your prior experience with payers in this particular case, which is insurance companies. You chose to focus or with prior auth, uh, you know, with them, and there is the healthcare system in the loop, which is the physicians and the providers.
yeah,
So why did you make one? Like, how do you distinguish between the two? Because prior auth is important from both perspectives, right?
yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So for the health plans, it's a cost
Okay.
because the main reason why there is prior authorization is because
Mm-hmm.
we all know in this country the healthcare costs have been going through the roof, right?
Yes.
And there is quite a bit of waste in
Mm-hmm.
the system,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of the waste is due to like unnecessary procedures,
Mm-hmm.
unnecessary imaging, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there is no need to do imaging when if it's sufficient to have a just an X-ray,
Mm-hmm.
which costs like $50, right?
Okay.
Instead of a $1,500 or a $2,000, like X-ray. So because of the excessive use of the
Mm-hmm.
high cost items, there's
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit of waste in the system. So
Mm-hmm.
health plans,
Mm-hmm.
because they are the fiscal, right, intermediaries, right? They are there to manage the dollars for the employers or for government, right, with Medicare, etc. So
Yes.
one of the tasks is to make sure that they control for this.
Right.
So that's what the health plan viewpoint is, to make sure that, hey, let's kind of prevent unnecessary things,
Yes.
kind of do that. And then obviously the physician thinks it's very important for the patient.
Yeah.
That's where the tension is.
I see. I see. So from your company perspective or your perspective, you're playing more on the payer side, like you
Yeah,
just explained,
yeah. So
right?
because
Yeah.
the reason why we decided to go with the payer side is that
Mm-hmm.
payers have the volume, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the things can be controlled. The operation uh,
Mm-hmm.
can be controlled uh, from the health plan side
Right.
by using the technology.
Right.
Because
Right.
um, there is no point in speeding up a
Mm-hmm.
process on the physician side.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely there are benefits to it, but you have to do it every physician by every physician office. But
Yes.
instead, if we can go to the to
Health
open
plan.
a health plan, you can address about all of this in one shot, right?
Great, great.
So that is the reason why I did
Awesome.
that.
Awesome. So Shiva, tell us, like you said that, I think you mentioned that you started late 2019. So that is actually before COVID,
Yeah,
And
just like 3 months before COVID. In fact, it's just
yeah, and
thanks.
then COVID hit. It must have impacted your go-to market and your plans, but you kind of stuck to the knitting. You have very good investors, which yeah, have been supporting you in your journey. So tell us a little bit about the bumps on the road and how you overcame them and where you are at today. How
Yeah,
many employees and how do you go about this? Yeah.
yeah. The one of the things is that we actually managed to partner with a large health plan, like
Okay.
yeah, Humana. It's there on our website.
Mm-hmm.
And but what happened was that in fact, I had hired like 4 people or so, and
Mm-hmm.
we actually worked in a WeWork
Mm-hmm.
office in Boston, I would
Mm-hmm.
say, in February, and in the process of finding an office and recruiting people, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember early March of 2020, working in the office, and suddenly they called
Mm-hmm.
all of us down and said that, hey, we found somebody with COVID today
Mm-hmm.
in the offices, so you guys have to go home.
Okay.
So we will call you, and we will see when you can come back.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the last time
Oh my God. Right.
we we
Yeah.
all saw each other, the four of us,
Yes. Yes.
and we came home. And after that, we didn't see each other for more than a year, right? And
Oh.
but then we changed our entire plan,
Yeah.
work on remotely,
Okay.
and build the product out,
I
because
see.
we had a deadline of January 1 to
Mm-hmm.
do a pilot with a client.
Okay.
So
Okay.
January 1, 2021. So we said that we can't just sit at home and just wait for COVID to go.
Yeah. Of course.
So
Yeah.
we need to develop the product and everything else. So we took actually
Mm.
advantage of the remote thing, because
Yes.
yeah, initially our office was going to be in Boston, and we were going to recruit engineers in Boston and
Yeah.
clinicians, everybody in Boston.
Yeah.
But what happened was that because of COVID, we said, you know what, we can hire people anywhere in the country.
Right.
And so that actually opened up the pool for us.
Right.
And we kind of went around the country, and we could, we could recruit people from around the country. Yeah.
That's amazing. And I understand that you are still all in on remote, which is like very different from many other companies who are either embracing hybrid or getting people together to come to office almost every day. So tell us, Siva, what is the secret sauce of keeping people engaged? You are up to several hundred people now. So how do you keep such a large number of people engaged, remotely?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
not easy,
Yeah.
because by the time uh, they started announcing that people were, it was getting a little bit more normal, I would say, the
Mm-hmm.
beginning of 23 or so,
Mm-hmm.
we were already up to 400 people around the country.
I
Okay.
see. I see.
So we didn't have a choice,
Yeah. You
right?
didn't really, you couldn't ever there was no single place that you could ask everybody to come to.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Because
Yeah.
we had a majority of the people, when I say not majority, a
Yeah.
substantial number in Boston, but that was still like 35% or so.
Right.
So we said that we don't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So let's kind of continue the remote model, but let's try to make it more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
But having said that, there are positive and negative stuff. So the way that we try to manage is that we try to definitely, as a management team, and the individual teams,
Mm-hmm.
they try to meet in fact, our travel budget will be high. But
Yes.
since we are saving on the office space, we said that, you know what, we should be willing to spend money on getting people together.
I see. Okay. That's
So
the point. Yeah.
we let the teams, from a management team perspective, we definitely try to meet once a quarter
I
for
see.
sure. And then okay, and then we have team meetings, right? We have sales,
Yeah.
we have the clinician teams, we
Yeah.
have operations, technology,
Yeah.
AI, product, all of them. They all meet in teams.
Yeah.
Um, various parts of the country throughout the year.
Right.
And that is very important for them
Yeah.
to build the camaraderie and,
That's amazing, because I think one good thing from a time zone perspective is that you have everyone in the US, so at least everyone's in the, kind of like the same US time zone,
yeah,
right? So that's great. So what are some of the okay? So we would like to talk about some of the expansion plans,
yeah,
of course. But before that, Shiva, you just mentioned AI. So tell us how you are applying AI, and now Gen AI and agents are coming. So
yeah,
all of this in your product
yeah,
roadmap and product development, with
yeah,
all things are changing fast, like
yeah,
with
yeah, that's right.
Gen AI. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in fact, from day one onwards, what the goal was, what we said was, let's try to provide, instead of these approvals, I kind of said, right, it takes 5 days, 7 days, or etc.
Mm-hmm.
What we decided to do was that, hey, if at the end of the 5 days or 6 days or something it takes, if if it's going to be approved, okay,
Mm-hmm.
how can we bring it to real time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what is all involved in the process and how can we bring it to real
Yeah.
time? Meaning, as soon as they submit, if information is there, why don't you approve it?
Prove automatically. Yes.
Right. So that's what we focused on, is that how can we approve things faster?
I see. I see.
Okay, so that what we found is that at the end of the prior authorization process, there is about 80 to 85% of the requests are usually approved.
Mm-hmm.
So what we said was, let's focus on that and use AI to approve things, not deny things, because for denial,
Yes.
it still needs to be reviewed by
Review.
a
Yeah.
nurse and then MD, right, is involved.
Yes.
So let's first focus on solving the.
Good choice. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
today we actually approve about 80 to 85% of them in real time.
That's amazing. Yeah.
What That's where AI comes in. We use AI in about 6 or 7 ways around
Yes.
the platform, but this is one of the critical ones that we use, is that we
Mm-hmm.
actually get the EMR or medical record, right,
Mm-hmm.
of a
Mm-hmm.
patient
Yes.
from the provider office, and we tell them that what is the service that you need,
Mm-hmm.
and we are able to take that, and then we are able to look at the unstructured data, right? It's a lot of unstructured. There is no
Yeah.
structure, but we are able to use AI to really recognize,
Yeah.
as the service that's requested, does it in
Yeah.
the information about the patient,
Yeah.
diagnosis, etc. Is the treatment and the diagnostics and the treatment correct for the patient, right, based on certain policies? We are
Mm-hmm.
able to determine that using AI today.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the first shot, and for that, right,
Mm.
um, we have to use physicians
Mm-hmm.
to truly look at our algorithms to say that, okay, hey, is this clinically correct?
Yes.
It's relevant, etc. So we always had a physician. Actually, we have about 50 physicians right now in the company.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
covering a lot of specialties, and they are
Yeah.
the ones that are looking at the information and they are looking
Okay.
at approve things, right? And then we
Yeah.
deploy that in the algorithm. So it's a painstaking process, and that's what
Yeah.
we did a lot of times, right? We started looking at it, and that's where we are at 80%, and we are continuously improving that,
Okay. Okay.
right?
Great.
So
Great.
that is one area. But if it if there is a doubt about that particular request
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, then it goes to an MD. We never
I.
deploy any AI or anything else to deny,
Yeah.
because
Right.
we leave it to the physician to make the determination, and then
Right.
they will communicate it with the other physicians. So
That.
that is actually one of the main reasons, or one of the big areas where we use. The
Right.
other areas are around where we use Gen AI, or like scheduling patient, or trying to get missing information from
Yes.
that, right? So we have some agents
Yes.
that go and look and
Okay.
complete the entire activity, like reaching out or
Okay.
asking them to fax, and then it will
Yes.
fax and it will convert it into information,
Okay.
all of that. So
That's
that is
great. Yeah.
something, that's another place. And then
Yeah.
there's a lot of summarization of information.
Yes.
a lot of documentation required. And for that, we use AI, Gen AI. And then there are things like letters, right? That we
Yeah.
write. For that, we use Gen AI, etc.
Okay. Okay.
So
Those are
we are
great.
a AI, pretty much a AI native company from day one.
Yes. Yes.
And that has allowed us to actually solve
Mm-hmm.
one of the abrasion issues, right? Because
Yeah.
people, when they come to Cohere's
Mm-hmm.
platform and
Mm-hmm.
they input the information, they know that
Mm-hmm.
85 to 90% of the time they are going to get an answer immediately, and they
Right.
don't schedule people. So
I see.
that is the best part of it. So we have commissioned studies which we do quarterly, surveying
Mm-hmm.
all our users.
Mm.
We have a NPS of 65 to 67,
Okay.
which is a
Great.
very high
Great.
customer, provider satisfaction, because
Yeah. Yeah.
nobody likes prior authorization.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
but at least people are saying that, okay, Cohere is doing something,
Right.
solve the problem for
Yes.
patients, right? And
Yes.
that's the one of the big outcomes, right, that we have done.
Yeah.
And what we are also doing now with AI is, okay, the 15% of the requests that need to go through this
Mm-hmm.
process, we are actually trying to get that to 1 day or 2 days for the
I see. I see.
that also we are using AI, because we are able to summarize and we are able to accumulate the information and
Mm-hmm.
the give it to the
Physician. Yeah.
physician. So they some of the things could be very easy for them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got all this. I got all this. Okay, let me look at the medical record. This indication,
Right.
they will approve it or something like that, right? Or they might be able to. So it saves their time,
Yeah.
and then they can reach out to the other physician and consult with them. Just tell them,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
So we are actually, yeah, using AI to shrink that timeline, right, for
Very
everything
interesting.
within
Yeah.
1 or 2 days, right?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where we deploy AI, right?
Very interesting, Siva. So that brings me to my next question, actually, that when you consider the benchmark of companies or your landscape in which you are doing your competitive positioning, are there any other large players that are
Yeah.
also in the same space and different and unique? And how do you
Yeah.
position that? Yeah.
No, I actually, that's good, because as I said, the process has been there for more than 30 years.
Yeah.
So there are legacy companies
Yes.
that have been doing this for
Yeah.
healthcare. So this is not a new process, right? We didn't invent this
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
They have been doing it, and they are the ones that are 7 days, 40 days, paperwork, old technology,
I see.
all of that. So we are
I
kind of completely disintermediating them. So we are
I see.
creating a completely new category where
Mhm.
we are actually differentiating ourselves from them. So we are kind
I
of coming in and changing the way things
Right.
are being done in this industry.
That is great to know. That is great to know. So I think we have covered a lot of ground, Shiva. Any other, you know, uh, closing thoughts or any other uh, information or news that you would like to share with the audience?
Um, no, I just said that, hey,
Yeah.
I know that there is a lot of press around prior authorization.
Yeah.
I just want to, like people, the like listeners, right, who are probably more on the provider side or
Yeah.
the patient side, right? Because almost everybody who is a patient goes through this process.
Yeah.
That there are companies like Cohere that are actually now using AI to solve this
Oh,
problem.
right.
So relief is on the way. That's all I can tell.
That's a great finish point. Thank you, Shiva, for the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.